There was something in the air tonight. Is that the one? We're on level 4. This doesn't seem to be clipping. We can always turn it up in post. So this is the ABBA microphone, or sort of the ABBA microphone. It's the BT301, which is the same as the ABBA microphone, other than around about here somewhere. I don't know, maybe here. On the ABBA microphone, which is the 330 BT. It's got 3 switches. One is a high pass, one's a low pass, and I think that might be it. I think it might be just 2 switches. They've just got 3 positions each. So you've got a high pass on the low pass, and that's about it. But they're kind of redundant. You don't need them anymore, which is why I picked this one. This is a 310, not a 301. So this is a 310, there's a 320 and a 330. The 330 is the one that ABBA actually used. And the 330's got exactly the same head shell, it's just it's painted. So these lines on this one are unpainted, as are the in-between sections in the gaps that make the hypercardioid work. Or supercardioid, whatever they call it. But on the 330 they paint those bits and paint these lines. So other than that it's the same, but it doesn't have any switches. It sounds the same, which is all that matters to me. And in my opinion it's more robust, being as it's dumped several points of failure, i.e. the switches, which are redundant anyway. So this mic, albeit bought for a bargain price and potentially capable of turning a bit of profit, is actually a work tool that I do want to use, having listened to it on several recordings and made my mind up that it does sound nice on various people that I've listened to several times previous and know how they sound and know what it sounds like, therefore, as a microphone before buying it. Obviously I can't try it out before buying it. I've got to buy it, then try it. But knowing what you know when you've listened to several people and how they sound or how you expect them to sound through various different microphones, you can get a pretty good idea how things will sound. So I've got a pretty good idea how this would sound before I got it. Now I have actually tried this on my main rig through the compressors with EQ, and could potentially wire this up and do a show with it, i.e. a live show. Anyway, I've hooked up the ABBA microphone. This is what the ABBA microphone sounds like. What do you reckon?
Talk about diverging zeniths and we'll see what it sounds like.
So this is what I sound like on an AKG 301 ABBA microphone. Cool, huh? See, you're very concerned about how I sound through the ABBA microphone. Now that I've heard what it sounds like, I haven't, because I haven't listened to this back yet, but at least I get to hear what it sounds like on a live stream, because this is something that will become a working tool. So in a way, I should be more interested in what this sounded like rather than the Beatles mic. But there we go. Anyway, I've dedicated
Sing a bit of Fernando, and we'll give you a score out of 10.
There was something in the air tonight. Is that the one?
That's the one.
I know the words. I'm really sorry. Anyway, this is what the ABBA mic sounds like. It's a hypercardioid. It's got a second diaphragm, as I do a wanking symbol on camera. Well, I'm going to transition. Not from male to female. I wouldn't want to hold it by hand, but I could certainly wire it up and do a full-on show with it. It's a dynamic microphone, so there's a good chance that I'm putting plosives into it. We'll see how I go on. I haven't overloaded the line, so even if I've put some sort of plosives into it, they don't seem to, I was about to say they don't seem to have registered, but I did just see it go red on my iRig pre-HD. So anyway, this is what this sounds like. This is a supercardioid or hypercardioid. It's just a tighter pattern on the microphone, which does actually mean it's got some sensitivity behind the microphone. Let's just show you that. So if I talk down the back of the microphone, you can still hear something from the pattern. It would reject a lot more if it was just a cardioid or a wide cardioid, which this is not. This is a supercardioid or hypercardioid, however you want to describe it. So they have to allow a lot more access to the back of the capsule in order to achieve that. So that's why there's these gaps in the microphone. And I think this is cool. It sounds ace. Now, one of the things that this has in it, which is a Shure technology that they've only brought out in the last couple of years for their microphones, this has got an extra diaphragm somewhere around here that's supposed to cut down on handling noise. If this was to be used by my daughter or either of them, I would hope that if they were to handhold the microphone, as I deliberately pass it to the other hand, it would reject some of the hand holding noise that you inevitably get when you've got a microphone and somebody finds themselves passing it back and forth between them. So I'll see on this recording, obviously I'm not monitoring this, but I'll listen back after the fact. So far, everything that I've recorded has obviously been in this kitchen, which is very reverberant, and I've done that intentionally because I'm holding the microphone quite close to myself. What I'm going to do now is gather up all this cable on my iPad, very precarious. Fortunately, I've got an iRig Pre, and this is relatively portable, and it means I can now bring it in the iPad into a fully treated space, bring it back up to my mouth so you can hear what it sounds like. And yeah, this is the sound of the 310 ABBA mic on the iRig Pre and iPad Pro. Obviously it's going to be a lot cleaner in here than it was in the kitchen. Why is it called the ABBA mic? So the slightly more expensive version with 3 position switches is the mic from this range. So the 300 series range is the mics that ABBA use, but also people like Gorbachev, I've seen them have this particular mic on the end of a gooseneck with an XLR cable shoved up its arse, with maybe 2 of them side by side for political address use. But the range, i.e. the 300 range used by ABBA, is probably the more gracious claim to fame for this particular microphone. See what this handling noise is like. As I say, it's got a second diaphragm inside it that should, if I shake it around, reject by putting the inverse of whatever the handling noise is picked up by that diaphragm into the signal, inevitably cancelling it out if it works. We'll find out in a minute. I'm going to end this video here. We'll see how it sounds when I play back the recording. I'll probably edit down some of the things, me moving around, if they do cause a whole bunch of noise with cables whacking against things.